The narcissist was playing the long game. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So the narcissist, this is what they do many times, to play the long game. I've created this video in other forms over the years, and I'm touching it up because, yes, I'm getting a lot of questions asking me in the community, well, why does the narcissist stay in the relationship so long? Like, why do they do that? If they continue to abuse people and manipulate them, why stay with one person so long, or multiple people? That answer will be given to you in a moment, along with so many other nuggets of wisdom when you continue to watch the video and you realize that, yeah, the narcissist was playing the long game. Yes, they did know what they were doing. Yes, they meticulously sought you out. Yes, they groomed you. They tricked you. They trapped you. They placed you in that trauma bond. They placed you in the narcissistic fog. They were devaluing you. And they looked at you as a viable source of supply for a period of time, which was, in this case, for this video, it was the long game. So let's say your relationship lasted, or you were in the relationship, I should say, for a couple months. Maybe it was a couple of years, maybe a few decades, or perhaps it was even a lifetime. When you got the message that that person was toxic, maybe even narcissistic, that was when you were supposed to get the message. The next thing you need to realize is that, yeah, they were playing the long game, and they would have played much longer if you didn't figure it out. You see, this is what the narcissist does. They are on a mental, if you will, chessboard, and they believe that they are the king or the queen, and they're trying to capture the opponent's king or queen. And I know that's not exactly how you play chess, and yes, I do play chess. I'm trying to make it simple for people to understand who may not even play chess, the illustrations. But when the narcissist is on that chessboard, they want to move different pieces around, knowing that that game, just like the relationship, it will end eventually. There's your expiration date that very few people can wrap their head around, that their relationship, just like mine, did have a expiration date, because the narcissist was toying with these people just like me. They were manipulating them, and they were playing the long game, and they knew eventually the long game's expiration date would come to fruition, i.e. it would expire. And when that happened with you, just like me, most likely via a discard. The discard came out of left field. You weren't prepared for it because you didn't know that you were in a relationship with a narcissist. You weren't taught Narcissism 101 in school, and you were trying to fix an unfixable relationship. And you didn't realize that there was an end game for that person you're considering. And the end game was when they deemed it necessary, or when they deemed it was appropriate for them, not for you, to end that relationship and rip the mask off and smash it down to the ground in 1,000 pieces or more. You see, this is what the narcissist did before they met you. It's what they did with you, and it's what they're doing right now. The narcissist is trapped in a loop. They're trapped in a cycle. They're trapped in multiple cycles, and they're trapped in multiple mindsets of lack. Now, why I share that is because, remember, you are an abundant, beautiful, bright, shining light. You're an empath. You're kind, loving, you're stable, you're committed. You can love, you can do the best because that's what you've done your whole life. And you're not keeping score, and you're not in competition with anybody, and you have other people's best interest at heart. Well, the narcissist saw all those things, and they said, wait, this supply source, which was you, I need to feed off of this person by myself. And they got you in that relationship, and most likely they isolated you. They blew up your support system. They had you doubt yourself, and they were driving wedges between you and anything that mattered to you. And now you were what was known as built-in supply. You most likely were trapped in your own house without even knowing that you were trapped, but you were. And the narcissist most likely was feeding off of you day in and day out, week after week, on and on and on. And as that relationship went on further and further, your health and your resources were becoming more and more depreciated or defunct or depleted. And the narcissist knew that. And what were they doing? Well, when you weren't topped up with full sources of supply, and you were getting bored, and the narcissist was getting bored and jaded with you, because that's what they do, well, then they would go out or go on their smartphone and crawl over dating apps or whatever they would be doing to drum up more supply sources. But the narcissist knew that they could play the long game with you. And I'll tell you exactly how and why they did it right now. When you met them, you were an open book. When you met them, you were telling them your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, what you wanted and what you didn't want. When you met them, you told them your financial circumstances, if you had been married before, if you had kids, how close you were with your siblings or your parents, or if you were a native to the area that you lived in, or if you moved, or you told them everything about yourself. And as you were telling them things, you thought you two were bonding. what you were doing is you were giving them the keys to the castle so they could break you over and over and over again via micro discards, via the ultimate discard, and via punishing you any way they deemed necessary. The narcissist has an arsenal around their belt, a tool belt, if you will, of different types of abuse and toxicity and manipulating tactics that they administer to anybody who gets too close to them. Some of these include triangulation, gaslighting, stonewalling, verbal abuse, financial abuse, projection, mirroring. You know what a lot of them are, and more terms are being created each and every day with behaviors that many of us have had in common, although there were no terms being given to those. Example, I'll share one that I coined years ago. The micro discard. What's a micro discard? It's not the discard, the ending of the relationship, or the real discard. It's a little paper cut that you experienced over years, over time with the narcissist. They were slowly devaluing you. They were discarding you slowly and slowly, and this was akin to death by 1,000 paper cuts. And that micro discard or micro discards that you experienced, they did damage to you. They did a lot of damage to you. They did damage to me too. These are the kind of things where, example, let's say you were upstairs in the house when you were with the narcissist. Let's say they were downstairs laughing it up. They just cooked for 20 minutes and they threw something in the microwave and they acted like they just cooked a 5-course feast. Well, they would be laughing it up with people, but they wouldn't invite you downstairs to have dinner. Sound familiar? Probably does. Or how about another one? Say it's just the two of you and you made plans. It's a Friday night. You're going to go pick them up or meet them after work. This is the narcissist, and you're all excited about going to your favorite restaurant. Maybe it's Indian, maybe it's Thai. I can't tell you what it is, but whatever it is, you're excited. And what happens? Well, the narcissist tells you, forget about it, I've got my own food. And then you're like, all right, cool, sounds good. Yeah, I'll meet you back at home. You get home, well, what happens? They have food for one. They didn't buy you food. You weren't even on their mind. They were buying their own food. And was it Indian or Thai? I can't tell you. It was whatever they ordered, but it was what they wanted, and they were micro discarding you by not even thinking about you. So what did you do? Well, you jumped on your Uber Eats or your DoorDash or whatever it's called these days, and you ordered your own food. Well, while they were eating their food, that was isolating you. It was showing you how little they cared about you. There is your micro discard. And I could come up with hundreds of thousands of those examples, and I'm sure that one resonated with you. If it did, drop comments below. But see, this is how the narcissist was playing the long game. Let's stick on that example. As they were giving you that micro discard when they ordered their own food and they ignored you or didn't check in with you and just got their own food, well, what would they be doing? They would still be on their phones, plural. They would still be laughing it up, ignoring you. They would still be saying, yeah, sure, we can watch that movie maybe in an hour, maybe two, when I'm done watching the paint dry on the wall across the hall room from me, or once I clean out the lint compartment from the dryer, or once I reorganize my sock drawer from 5 years ago, then maybe we could watch the movie. See, there's another devaluation. There's another micro discard. And these things happen over and over and over again. And when you don't know what narcissism is, you experience thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these, and they do a lot of damage. Eventually what happens is the narcissist doesn't even bother with people to give them the micro discards. They just hold their breath. I'm talking about the narcissist, and they wait for the big discard. This is what these people do. It's a crescendo. It's the ending of a performance. It's when the curtain is drawn on in a theater of abuse. And the narcissist knows that. So eventually what they do is they get so burnt out and jaded with supply sources, they not only take them for granted, but they get bored with punishing them until, of course, they want to insert the new supply. And then here we go again. The new supply is being lathered up. They can do no right or no wrong. You can do no right. And this is how the narcissist monkey branches from one relationship to the next. Very small example, but it's what they do. But what the narcissist knew is that your relationship had an expiration date and that they were going to play the long game to trap you, to trick you, to manipulate you as long as they possibly could, to keep you stuck doing things for them as long as you would hold out, or as long as your health would hold out, or as long as your money held out. Then eventually, once they collected as much as they possibly could from you, then here comes the discard. As I've shared for years in videos, that the discard is calculated, it is planned. The narcissist does know what they're doing. They do it deliberately, they do it intentionally, and they do it repeatedly. They had done it before they met you, they did it with you, and they're doing it right now or about to, wherever they are, if they're still on the planet. But when the long game comes to an end, what you will do, just like I did, is when you realize what narcissism is, what you will begin to do, I should say, is you'll begin to look back at the body of that relationship. From the inception, from the moment your eyes met the narcissist's eyes, whatever that was, and you'll start putting pieces of the puzzle together. It's like a whodunit, a thriller, a suspense, a drama, action, horror, mystery, if I didn't say that, all rolled into one. But this is your life. And what you will do is you'll begin to go down different rabbit holes of education and exploration. And it always starts with one person. And you should know by now who that person is. Yes, it's the narcissist. Once you figure out who they are, what they did, how they did it, and how you stayed in so long, and how you didn't know what was going on because you were believing in the mask, you were naive, you were vulnerable, you were wearing your heart on your sleeve, and you thought you could fix an unfixable relationship, to say the least, then you realize, wait, this was methodical. It was mapped out. It was planned. That's why they didn't show up for my birthday. That's why we didn't celebrate Christmas. That's why they didn't want to go on vacation with me. That's why they wanted me to go on vacation without them. That's why they said, oh, don't wait up for me. I'm going to be late again tonight. That's why they disappeared for weekends at a time. That's why they would return home from those weekends when they were giving you the silent treatment, and they would be on cloud nine, laughing it up, loving life. They couldn't contain themselves. They were having the best time, but you would be not in a good mood, and you'd be scratching your head saying, I don't get it. You just didn't talk to me. You froze me out. You ghosted me for the weekend. Now you're laughing it up like nothing happened. What? I don't get this. This isn't good. What's going on? Then they would look at you, and they would know in the back of their tiny little pea brain that they just cheated on you. Maybe with your best friend, maybe with your boss, maybe with the neighbor's spouse. I can't tell you, but they knew they were pulling one over on you, so they were topped up with supply. They also knew that you had a horrible weekend because they weren't communicating with you deliberately, so they knew that you had a bad weekend. And what did they do? There is your micro discard, or you could say a medium-sized discard right there, all over again. But you see, this gets quite old. It gets quite tiresome, quite boring for the narcissist. And for the people that experience the toxicity, i.e. you or myself in the past, we are getting peppered with abuse, and our tolerance is getting lower and lower and lower. Essentially, we're being burnt out. And eventually something breaks, something gives, and something snaps, and there's your ending of the relationship. And when it ends, it comes out of left field. You don't know what's going on. But what happens with you? Well, you have to heal if you are fortunate enough to figure out what narcissism is, and you are, and you did, or you're doing it because you're here in the community, and I've done just that. But what does a narcissist do? They don't heal. There's nothing to heal from. They just go move into the new person's house or condo, or they just relocate on the other person's dime, and they start up a new charade. They wear a new mask. They realize that there's another new expiration date down the horizon with this new source of supply, and they realize that perhaps this one will be worthy of a long game. Maybe they won't be. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that person is a clean slate for this example. They have no idea. They're oblivious to narcissism, and they are about to have their whole world turned upside down, just like you did. Remember, at one point, we all were what is known as the new supply. The new supply is not, and I repeat, not who you want to be. The new supply is thinking they just are about to enter or have entered the best relationship they've ever been a part of or will be. That is not reasonable, it is not sustainable, and it is not accurate. That is what is known as the love bomb, or the euphoric stage, when the narcissist is grooming this person, future faking, if you will, showing them what will never be, promising them the sun, the moon, and the stars, knowing that if they could get their hooks sunken into this person, that there could be another long game candidate here. Remember, not every relationship the narcissist experiences or grooms or puts energy into is a long game relationship. Most of them aren't. If you want the truth, most of them are short to medium term games. And I'll tell you why. Think about an airplane. If the narcissist was on an airplane, or say you were with them in the past and you were going from one part of the country to the other part, say it was a 6-hour flight, well, you would be being ignored while you were sitting at the window seat trying to get a little bit of attention from the narcissist. They would be in the aisle because that's where all the action is. They would be triangulating you with the stewards or the stewardesses. They would be winking or flirting with other passengers. They would be getting up, going to the bathroom every 3 or 4 minutes. They would be making humming sounds and singing songs, and they wouldn't be able to, but what would they be doing? They'd be getting supply. And then when that airplane landed, then what would happen? The person who sat in between you and the raging narcissist, because you were on the window, because you couldn't sit next to the narcissist, because that's the way things worked out back then, well, then what would happen? Well, you'd be frustrated, but the person sitting in between the two of you would be equally as frustrated, but they didn't know it was a narcissist they were sitting next to. See what I'm saying? So that's how the narcissist gets short, medium, and long-term supply sources. But the narcissist doesn't care. What they care about is mattering to people. What they care about is relevance. What they care about is being in the conversation. And there's an expression which is there's no such thing as bad publicity, or good publicity is good, but bad's just as good, whatever it is. Well, that's what the narcissist thinks too. As long as they're in the headlines, they don't care. As long as people are talking about them, they don't care. As long as they're sucking all the oxygen out of the room, they don't care. Which is why, again, before I close the video, you need to get the message. You need to go no contact and block that person. You need to delete them, remove them, and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. If you haven't done it yet, you should do it when you are ready and prepared. If you can't right now, I get it. You're going to have to get ready to create, develop, and execute your exit plan. Any way you cut it, this person should be out of your life sooner than later. This person, i.e. the narcissist, they won't change. They played the long game as long as they could with you, and then you figured out who they were. So once you figure it out, you can't unsee what you've seen, you can't unexperience what you've experienced, and you can't unhear what you've heard. So now you need to put the onus on you and say, yeah, okay, I get it. I know this person is. It's gonna not really feel good to do it because maybe they've been your bestie, wink, wink, for 10, 20, 30 years. You finally figured out they're the narcissist. Well, now it's the time to cut the ties. Maybe it's your husband or wife for a couple of years. Well, there you go. Maybe it's your adult sibling. Maybe it's your parent. Maybe it's your roommate. Maybe it's your teacher, I should say, or the person who's teaching you university. I don't know who it is. Whoever it is, they won't change. You have to change, and change comes from within, and they know that. What they're trying to do is turn you inside out so you would be a subservient puppet to them. You wouldn't be independent, and you wouldn't be thinking clearly. That's why you really, really need to block that person. You need to delete them, and what you need to do is continue to heal and understand that, yes, you are the priority. You come first, second, third. There's no room in your life now or in the future for toxicity. Now you understand something, and you have one of the keys to the universe that very few people will ever get. And yes, there are people out there saying and claiming that they know how to do A, B, and C, and X, Y, and Z, and the narcissist. Well, you know what? All I can tell you is this. You know your truth. I know my truth. You need to know that where you were is not where you're going. Where you are, if it's where you want to be, you need to stay there. And if where you are isn't where you want to be, just work to be done. But any way you cut it, with you, the narcissist did play the long game, because that's what they do usually. Once they find an empath, once they find a source they can tap into, string along and have that person give them access to them, they will use, abuse, manipulate, and trap that person as long as they possibly can. That's why you need to understand the games are over. The narcissist is in the past. You've healed, and now you are living an abundant life. Toxicity free, drama free, manipulation free, and now you are a whole different person. You're now either at the mountaintop or the pinnacle of indifference, or you will be very soon. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Understand a few things. One, yeah, the narcissist plays the long game. Number two, yeah, most people, and I do mean this, they will never even know that they were in a narcissistic relationship, because it doesn't have to be a husband or wife or a mom or dad or a romantic relationship. The narcissist, I've been sharing this for years, they could be your Uber driver, they could be the coffee shop barista, they could be the person who checks you out at the grocery store, they could be anywhere, and they are everywhere. So you, just like myself, you need to have a small footprint, and you need to not overshare information, and you need to understand that boundaries are imperative. You have been to hell and back. You're out. When you're out, you stay out. You need to take those lifelong learning lessons. You need to not stay stuck in the past. You need to not predict the future. And you need to live in the present moment. That's where the abundance takes place, and that's where I am, and my hope is that's where you are, or you will be in the very near future. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye.